My GF 25 female of 4 years told me 25 male that she cheated on me. I thought I was okay. A little backstory on the two of us. We were great friends in high school and depended on each other to blow off steam and simply offload our troubles on each other during our senior year. We attended to different institutions, but I ended up transferring to hers, which is when we began dating. We've been living together for 3 years and get along beautifully. We go on dates on a regular basis, go on vacations together, and depend on each other for help with all of our difficulties. She's been wanting to marry for a year or two, but I've urged her to wait until she graduates from graduate school next year. I dropped out of college and now have a secure career that allows me to support both of us financially. She helps with meals and groceries on occasion, but she mostly works to save money in case we need it in an emergency. My work requires a significant amount of time. I work on call and on call at various hours of the day, and I may be gone for a few days at a time, but we always text or phone each other when we're apart. When I'm gone, she'll go out with her pals and have a few drinks. I don't mind since I entirely trusted her. She's never showed signals of infidelity and had a buddy who cheated on one of her previous girlfriends, so she avoided him. She despises cheaters in movies and on television. So I arrived at work at 11 p.m. on Friday, and she was just getting ready to go out with her buddies. We kissed each other, said our I love yous, and went about our business. I had a wobbly feeling the whole night, so about 3 a.m. I texted her saying I loved her and hoped she had a wonderful night. Obviously, there was no answer, but that is not unusual. When she wakes up in the morning, she generally texts. I left work at 11 a.m. and arrived home about 12 p.m. She drove up just behind me as I was coming in. When she came out, she was dressed in the same clothing she had worn the night before and looked a shambles. She timidly kissed me on the cheek as we headed inside. As soon as I shut the door, she burst into sobbing and clung to my legs for dear life. She said that her buddies met a man at the pub who began buying them shots. According to her, he was stroking her shoulders and paying close attention to her. He spotted her text in her phone, asking her to ignore it and have fun. This irritated me to no extent, but I remained silent and let her recount her story. She said she kissed him, and he took her vehicle back to his house where they had. After what felt like 10 minutes of silence, I began putting my work bags away and got ready for a shower. I was emotionally numb, and I had no feelings for her at the time. In my thoughts, I was terrified since my body went into autopilot mode and simply began conducting my typical daily routine. She followed me about like a puppy dog, wanting to know whether I was going to say something. When I asked her whether she loved it, she was stunned and wondered if I really cared about what had occurred. I informed her, what difference does it make to me what you do? You're a single lady, so do anything you want. I was unfazed when she began weeping and crying uncontrollably. I was finished. I told her I was going to take a shower and that she needed to go when I finished. She attempted to stop me from going to the restroom and urged me to speak to her, but I refused. When I went out, she was gone. I didn't hear from her on Saturday, but I did hear from her mother, who apologized to me. She had informed her mother about all that had transpired, and she had seemingly hung up on her own daughter. She tried phoning me over 20 times on Saturday, but I was still emotionally unavailable. I thought I'd finished this forcefully, utterly over her, yet here I am now, thinking only of her, missing her and yearning for her. I needed to hear her voice, so I phoned her, and we both sobbed on the phone. I want to take her back while knowing I shouldn't. It's just now that it's beginning to chew me apart on the inside, and it stinks. I'm not sure what happened to the strong person I used to be, but I'm a mess now. What exactly am I expected to do here? Have you tried talking to her? Can you try rekindling this thing? I've always stated I'd never forgive a cheater, and she's always despised cheaters. I loathe her every time I think about it, but then I start craving for her. I'm just perplexed right now. Update. This really blew out more than I anticipated. It's been a long work night for me, and when I wake up, I'll look over all of your comments. I also have 224 SMS to read. She, her friends, her mother, my brother, and one of my closest friends have been trying to call me all night, believing I've done something bad. They're all aware of my erratic work schedule, so I'm not sure what they were thinking, but I'll try to keep you all updated after I've straightened things out. Thank you for your time. Story 2. Wife cheated on me and we got divorced. Now, I, 29 male, am involved in an affair with a married 29 female. Looking for advice and criticism. I'm in a very messed up scenario here that I'm not sure how to handle properly. Any suggestions would be much appreciated. I'm conscious that I'm not the best man in this circumstance, so please feel free to point this out to me as well. Also, I'm composing this on my phone, so please forgive any formatting issues. She is a 29 female, and I am a 29 male. 3 years ago, I married a girl I believed I'd spend the rest of my life with. We'd been dating for 5 years, but hadn't been married for 8 months. She eventually cheated on me and dumped me before our first anniversary. She had his kid during the year we were apart, legal necessity, and they married soon after our divorce was completed. This really destroyed me. I developed depressed and began to experience anxiety and panic attacks. It was a life-changing experience for me since I had never been touched psychologically in such a way before. I was in counseling and using anti-anxiety medicine at the time. I began abusing sleeping pills as a result of my self-hatred and negative self-talk, which kept me up all night. I ended up relocating to a foreign country and have just recently begun to put myself back together as a person. This gets us to today, when she, the 29F, enters the picture. We went to high school together, and I've always thought of her as the one that got away. In the previous 10 years, I haven't stopped thinking about her. She is intelligent, gorgeous, sporty, and so forth. The only problem is that she is also married. You can probably guess where this is headed. She messaged me on Facebook a few months back, and we flirted briefly. It didn't take long for the flirtation to turn into a full-fledged online and emotional romance. About 2 months into our romance, I had to return home to where she presently resides for unrelated personal reasons. It became physical at this time as well. When her husband went for work, she would come to where I was living, we would have all day, and she would return to him at 5 p.m. We said I love you to one another at the conclusion of our 1-week vacation, and I meant it. For the first time since my marriage had crumbled, I had fallen in love, and it was with a married lady. When I returned to where I am now, we maintained the affair, and he ultimately found out. I'm also back in counseling at this time, since the guilt of the scenario has brought back my panic attacks and anxiety. I had completely weaned myself off of sleep medicine approximately 7 months ago, but I am on the verge of resuming use. My therapist had advised me to end my relationship with her for 2 reasons. 1. Having an affair with another man's wife after being in the same circumstance myself is not only extremely messed up, but also utterly unethical. This is something I'm aware of, and it's expressing as anxiety. And 2, I deserve the affection of someone who can love me wholeheartedly. By becoming someone's part-time boyfriend, I am selling myself short. That's not what I'm looking for. So I ended things with her, and I told her these reasons. This happened on Tuesday. She has split from her spouse and begun the divorce procedure in the last week. I should mention that she has always claimed that the love she feels for me is beyond any she has ever felt before. It's weird since I have the same feeling. It's quite bright and intense. For me, it's all-encompassing. I adore this girl despite the fact that I have only spent 5 days with her physically. I've been hesitant to take her love at face value since I've heard instances of lovers being strung along with similar phrases when the married party has no plans to leave their marriage. However, it seems that she has put her money where her mouth is and has left her spouse. We're not formally together yet, but it's just a matter of time. So, after this wall of writing, I suppose my question is, what the am I doing? Is it weird for me to be so engrossed in this? Is this a viable option? Why is the first person I've been genuinely engaged with a married lady after being so terribly injured in my marriage? I'm under contract in my current nation for another 6 months, but if we were together, I'd probably relocate back at this point. Really, any advice on this entire situation would be much welcomed.